Good morning and welcome to Mosaic. I'm Pastor Elizabeth Eckdale from St. Mark's Lutheran Church in San Francisco, and I have guests this morning from the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. So welcome to each of you. I have Pastor Connie Winter-Yulberg, pastor at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in San Mateo, Pastor Christy Denham. You are in Belmont and you serve the Congregational Church, part of the United Church of Christ. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great. You're part of the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition.
Yes. Right.
What is the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition?
Our coalition is made up of 26 different faith communities that have joined together. So we have 7 different religions that join us. So Sikhs, so Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Hindu, Baha'i, and Muslims. So, and obviously there are many different congregations from each of those.
And what do you do?
We gather together. We do a lot of community service together. We found that getting to know each other is really important, and the education about what different faiths are is even a part of our monthly gatherings. We gather together, and the first half hour, we're always listening to somebody talk about what their faith means to them, or about a certain belief that they have, or that how they pray together. Sometimes that we are meeting in different faith houses every month, and that we are praying with them and we are learning from them. And a lot of times they invite us to different celebrations, so we get to then extend our education with them other times of the month.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Pastor Christy, you were one of the founding members of the coalition. What was the need that you saw in 2012 that kind of brought you all together?
Well, actually, for me, there was a personal need. That I was new to the peninsula in 1999, and then shortly thereafter came 9/11 in 2001, and I wanted folks to know about each other so that we could be kinder to one another. Plus, I needed colleagues from a variety of faiths. I was lonely. So I started working in developing relationships with other clergy, and we started doing education programs. But as one of our colleagues has often pointed out to me, it was always the same folks showing up for these events. And in 2012, we realized that really what we could do to deepen relationships and expand our understanding was to do service together. And we discovered that if we did it on a Monday, then all our faith traditions could be there. And we started a Martin Luther King Day of Service, primarily because it was the one day that we could work together to actually do community service. And I know others will talk about that, because for me, it's been a gift of relationship and friendship. I have not only developed colleagues, but friends from every aspect. And of course, in my tradition, we're all ministers of the gospel. I'm just the hired help in my congregation. So we're all learning together how to be compassionate people of justice. And the other faiths teach me as much as I learn.
Sure.
Exactly.
But interfaith work means that you're learning about differences as well, and that can be hard.
Yeah.
Say how you've dealt with that.
It can be hard because things are new and different. We need to understand more. Like for instance, the Muslims then welcome us all to an iftar dinner as they're breaking the fast, but we do it at a Jewish temple, and then hundreds of people come for that, and they're educating us, but we're gathering together, and it's so beautiful. Kids come, they want to know what goes on. I just got invited to a Jewish festival. That was really wonderful, to be able to understand, okay, what is it? What's the New Year of the trees? I was like, oh my gosh, how wonderful that is. But then we're all gathered together. But when we're serving, that means we can really share about who we are.
So is the coalition then primarily focused on serving, on doing service projects in the communities?
Yes.
That's our first focus, and there's also a continuing hunger for learning about each other. So those who are volunteer liaisons who meet monthly to plan our annual major event and other smaller events also want to find ways to learn more about each other. So we have other events that we do throughout the year that are primarily educational as well.
Right, exactly. We did this last year, I planned a women of faith panel so that women from 6 faith could come together and talk about, this is how my faith is actually really been a big part of my life, and this is how it brought me out of the depths of despair. But for each of them to say that about a different faith, and it just got just wonderful. It was powerful. The women went really in depth, and then afterwards we sat around round tables, and in these small groups, women spoke about to each other in these small groups about how their faith has affected their lives.
But men were there too.
Right.
Yes.
Men
We
were there
invited
too,
men
but-
to both learn and share their own experience. It made them a little jealous that we were able to go as deep about our faith and how it had improved our lives. And they're talking about how can we do something that's men-focused, but you know, they've had a few thousand years, so we'll let them do something later.
Yeah, yeah. What are the other service projects that you do? I know Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the main day of service.
Exactly. So on that day, there's 26 different projects. We had 484 volunteers in one morning on MLK Day in January 2019. So
That's impressive.
and really that the volunteers afterwards, they're talking to us and saying that 90% of them had a positive experience of volunteering. That's an incredible thing of being able to have so many volunteers that are thankful and really feel like they did something good to help people on the peninsula and way beyond that.
And a lot of children are involved.
One-third of our volunteers are children, and they get turned on to volunteering. And a group of teens from my church wanted to do more. One day a year just wasn't enough, so they started the
Wonderful. So we're going to hear more when we come
Okay.
back to our next segment of Mosaic. Good morning and welcome back to Mosaic. I have our guests with me this morning from the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. Pastor Connie, Pastor Christy, we've been hearing about the wonderful work that the coalition is doing. And Pastor Christy, you were saying that you have teens in your congregation who are very engaged about this work. Say more about that.
They got so excited at their first Martin Luther King Day of service that they came back and said, we want to start an interfaith teen group. And I went, oh, okay, and I'll be your sponsor. And then we went out and reached out to the other 26 congregations and developed a wonderful program for them. They did a couple of service projects. The problem with teenagers is that by the end of their second year, they're getting ready for college and they lose their ability to focus as much. So it's been a sort of a push me, pull me project, but the energy that they gained from it, they took into their college experience.
Sure.
And then I've got my younger kids who started when they were 8, setting up tables at the first breakfast, and they are now the most passionate service people in our community. And our small church, more than half of the congregation participates in MLK Day every year and write eloquent articles for our messenger about what they learn from the experience and how important it is to their lives to know they're doing something that serves others. And they're pushing me to do more that is justice-oriented in our work in the church, which is kind of a flip-flop for ministers to have a congregation drawing us into the work that our hearts know is the right thing to be doing.
Yeah, they're leading you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Pastor Connie, you were going to share about how these interfaith relationships have affected your community, your parishioners.
Certainly, the kids in my congregation are very eager to do service work, and they love MLK Day. But then there's others in the congregation who say, I'm a gardener, so I want to be able to go to a school and do gardening that day, and they sign up for that. I have other people that really want to do all the craft projects. And so, but they love doing that, and they will sign up and make sure that they're interfaith friends. They want to sit by someone who's Muslim or Hindu, and they actually seek that out on that day to be able to check in with those folks. And then also beyond that, we've had people that, Muslim folks that have asked us over for lunch at their home. But these are friendships that have gotten over MLK Day. So my congregation is really, they're loving this. And certainly they love when some other faith house will ask us over for something in particular. And so that's really wonderful to be able to have everybody be able to see it. But also, I mean, Christy and I always, we add a lot to our sermons about the Multi-Faith Coalition. because we're excited about this work, and that when we talk about peace, we talk about loving others, there's always stories from the Multi-Faith Coalition.
Yeah,
to
so
add.
this really permeates your entire community, your congregations in all ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Christy, you want to say a word about that? And then the upcoming forums that are coming up.
Yes, so I preach about Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition, peninsulaMultifaith.org, every week almost these days. And my congregation is not getting tired of it because they know how much it impacts their lives and our lives. And we have planned a speaker series coming up. It starts March 13th.
Okay.
It'll be a soup supper and gathering with speakers from the Hindu tradition, Islam, Baha'i, Lutheran, and Sikhism, each a week. For a half-hour speaker and conversation and questions, and then a soup supper and more conversation around the dinner tables where folks can get to know each other even better. And so the whole series will end on April 10th, and each Wednesday evening folks are going to be learning more and sharing more and getting to know each other more, which is one of our main goals, is to build relationships.
Yeah. And people can learn about that series on your website. So say the
Absolutely.
website again.
peninsulaMultifaith.org.
Okay. That sounds like a wonderful series. And I'm sure you talk about difficult issues too. It's
Absolutely.
not just on the surface. And that's what would
Absolutely.
make it worthwhile. We're going to come back to Mosaic in just a minute and introduce another guest who's been involved with the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. Good morning. Welcome back to Mosaic. This morning we have guests from the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. Joining me is Pastor Connie Winter-Yulberg and now Dick Hyman. You are a congregant at, just tell us, Dick.
Peninsula Temple Bethel.
In San Mateo.
A Reformed Jewish congregation in San Mateo.
Welcome. And you were one of the founders of the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. What got you involved in this work?
So a rabbi did. Our rabbi at the time that Reverend Christie knows, Rabbi Berg, after 9/11 saw that congregations were drawing in on themselves. And he felt it was very important to reach out, and helped us initiate an interfaith friendship committee at Peninsula Temple Bethel. Started with 3 or 4 of us, and now has 15 or 16 active members that reach out to congregations in our neighborhood and exchange services, have dialogue, exchange meals, and that was kind of the start of it.
Why are you interested in this work?
You know, Pastor Elizabeth, you can't have too many friends, okay? As Jews, we can't have too many friends. As Muslims, we can't have too many friends. Christians, Hindus, whoever, we just can't have too many friends. And that got me started, is let's reach out and make some friends.
Why is this work so important to you, Pastor Connie?
It is because of the connections. I've never thought that we could be siloed. Siloed meaning let's just come together in an isolation, right? Farmers aren't using silos anymore. If you talk to farmers in Wisconsin, a very Lutheran area, they say they're not, because they're using more flat storage. Why? Because it's easy to access the food. And so now we need to then to connect to other people. And there's times of trouble. But I also want to learn. I mean, I go to Torah study at Dick's Temple on Tuesday nights. Now that is such a wonderful faith community for me.
Yeah.
They are extremely educational times, but also my connections with them, their support of me as a Christian pastor is fantastic. But and then I can take that learning back to my own congregation. But I think that there are times that are of trouble. Jews have been targeted, Muslims have been targeted, Sikhs, because people don't understand them at all, but that we need to get together I think because I'm in the work because it's peace work. That's what it is. For me, it's all about peace. Because there are plenty of people who are bringing up divides and putting up walls and separating one person from another. But I think that we need to then make connections. So that's what I'm in it.
And why does the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition work so well?
Well, you know, when Rev Christie was up here, she talked about her long history on the peninsula, over 20 years of creating interfaith councils, interfaith environment, exchanging services, talking to each other. And as she mentioned, it was a little bit singing to the choir. We saw the same 30 or 40 people. And a few of us got together, and our Christian neighbors said, you know, when we do community service in our congregation, we draw more congregants to it. And like the light went on. And that's been the magic, is over the last 7 years, like this last MLK Day, we had over 450 volunteers. In the last 7 years, we have connected with over 1,500 congregants amongst our 26 congregations. Why? Because they saw the magic of doing community service together. And it's especially interesting with the parents. We didn't realize this. We thought this was an adult event. It didn't turn out that way. The parents quickly saw that they could bring their children. With their children, they could do community service in an interfaith environment. And now a third of our participants on MLK Day are our children.
That's wonderful. And it's that interfaith environment, I would think, that would draw the children, the teens, the families together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we can see why the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition is being awarded the Jewish Community Relations Council Tom Lantos Memorial Humanitarian Award. Congratulations to you, and we'll say a word about that in just a minute when we return. Welcome back to our guests from the Peninsula Interfaith Coalition on the Mosaic Show this morning. Dick, you were talking about all the friends that you've made, the deep friends.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
And I personally made so many wonderful friends. But when there are problems, we're there for each other. This is not a political organization. This is not even a social justice building housing organization. This is an organization of reaching out, making friends, understanding each other, and being there for each other. So when recently there were some shootings at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, and who were the first ones that stood up for us and our congregation? It was our multi-faith partners.
Yeah.
In many ways, personal ways and professional ways. Another example is that our Turkish Muslim friends in the Pacifica Institute is part of the international Hizmet movement. They're under tremendous pressure in Turkey, and we have stood up for them.
Yeah.
So what goes around comes around.
Yeah. Right. And you'd like to be a resource for others who might be interested in this kind of coalition.
Well,
Exactly.
we talked about the magic of doing community service together. It sounds easy, but it's not so easy. When you're having 484 volunteers doing 26 projects at 10 different sites, there are a lot of moving pieces. So we've learned a lot about how to do community service together in an interfaith environment, and we're willing to share that. And we hope that others that are currently doing wonderful dialogue and wonderful interchange between services and congregations, but they want to take it to another level. They want to get more of their congregants involved. We're here to help.
Wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
As the president of the board of the Multi-Faith Coalition, what we want to do is really also put together a video so that we can be able to tell people more about what's going on. And I think maybe if we could do a video to say, this is what we're doing, just with the service part, and we could be able to educate other people. But we are willing to go out and share, because this is, talk about many moving pieces. It's incredible.
And you're all
the
volunteers,
organization.
correct? Do you have any staff?
Yes, we do.
Well,
This year we have had a part-time staff to help us with.
But mostly volunteers.
Up until this year, we
Right.
had no staff,
Right.
and we burned out some leaders.
Right.
So we have a part-time event coordinator for MLK Day.
Okay. Your website is a great resource for people
Right.
who might be interested in either joining you
Right.
or learning more about what
Right.
you're doing and they could do elsewhere.
Exactly. So we have a lot on our website. It's peninsula-multifaith.org.
Okay.
Simple.
How do they contact us?
They can contact us through the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
And again, you've got an upcoming speaker series later on in March,
Right.
and people, I assume, are invited to just show up and come to
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Right. And then you've got
Yes.
some other program events too throughout the year. Just briefly say what those are.
Right. We do a Women of Faith panel. This weekend we're doing a song fest, so that's singers and people are playing drums and all different kinds of things from different faiths that are coming together. So
Wonderful.
Yes.
I can see why the Jewish Community Relations Council is awarding you the Tom Lantos Memorial Humanitarian Award for all of your good work. As it says, for your exemplary interfaith bridge building and community service. I mean, really
Yes.
focus on the bridge building, as you
Right.
spoke about so eloquently, Dick.
And JCRC has been at the heart of this from the very beginning. One of the representatives, one of our original founding members, and they have some staff, so they've been a little of a backbone for the coalition.
And they can help you, and will continue to help you, but you want to help others who are interested in this
Yes.
work. So again, your website is?
peninsula-multifaith.org.
Okay, and it is a wonderful website. I was on it earlier, and I encourage everybody to go on the website. Thank you so much, Mr. Dick Hyman, founding member of the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition.
Thank you, Pastor Elizabeth.
Reverend Connie Winter-Yulberg, not only are you at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church as the pastor, but you're the president of the board here.
Right.
And then our other guest, Reverend Christy Denham, also a founding member. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I want to say thank you, and on behalf of Reverend Ron Swisher, who is my co-host, and our beloved producer, the late Hugh Burrows, I'm Elizabeth Eckdale. Thank you for viewing Mosaic this morning. Forward to our next show with you. Have a blessed Sunday morning. Thank you.